For this project, I'm going to be using the definition of existential risk provided by Nick Bostrom, a risk that is both crushing and pan-generational, leading to the extinction or inability to progress of humanity. The loose definition of global catastrophic risk I've been using is from Bostrom and Zerkovich, any risk that might have the potential to inflict serious damage on humanity on a global scale. So I've chosen to do my project analysing at a few pathways through which I could analyse this, but I ultimately chose to analyse how pandemics could indirectly contribute to existential risk. Because due to past precedent and large volume of data. So what actually is the risk of pandemics? How do we determine this? The risk posed by pandemics can be divided into direct existential risk and indirect existential risk, both from natural and bioengineered sources. There is some, although not overwhelmingly much, data on global catastrophic biological risks that pose a direct risk, those that also qualify as direct existential risks. However, there is currently almost nothing, which is the problem, on how GCBRs pose an indirect risk and the pathways through which they do so. This means that when decisions are made regarding existential risk, they don't always take into account the fact that pandemics of a smaller scale can also affect risk. The reason this is really important, that they do take this into account, is because most pandemics are likely to be of the scale which they won't directly cause an existential catastrophe. Experts on existential risk, when surveyed, believe that pandemics are twice as likely as nuclear war to kill 1 million people, but half as likely to kill 1 billion. The vast majority of pandemics are likely to be of a lower magnitude than is required to be a direct cause, natural or unnatural alike. Therefore, the fact that there is currently no research on how these massive society-altering events can contribute to the likelihood of an existential catastrophe constitutes problem. My project aims to begin to solve this problem by providing information about pathways through global catastrophic biological risks that don't pose a direct existential threat, i.e. the majority of them, could contribute to overall social existential risk. I have been researching the societal impact of pandemics throughout history. I've been looking at the Athenian plague, the Justinian plague, the Black Death, the Spanish flu, HIV, Ebola and COVID-19 in an effort to obtain a detailed picture of the effects that pandemics have on society. I chose to research these pandemics in order to achieve a balance between more deadly and virulent diseases, which are likely to have a higher impact but occur less frequently, and more modern pandemics, which have more empirical data ascribed to them. I've also reviewed the literature on factors for existential risk that might be relevant. By comparing the two, I hope to be able to shed light on the mechanisms through which non-existential catastrophe global catastrophic biological risks might contribute to existential risk. How is my project likely to have an impact? Because there is currently a dearth of evidence about the wider existential risk implications of pandemics, decisions about how to allocate resources are currently being made on the basis of only the direct existential threat posed by pandemics. I hope to be able to collate the research I'm doing in the form of a literature review and post it on EA Forum. Hopefully, as a result of this, the effective altruism community will be better informed as to the indirect existential threat of pandemics and therefore able to make better decisions about pandemics. So what are my preliminary conclusions, because what I've done so far is a bunch of research. The clearest links across all the pandemics I've looked at are their contributions to international tensions and social instability. This is visible throughout history. The Athenian plague is widely believed to have been partially responsible for the fall of Athens to Sparta in the Arcadian War. The Spanish flu is believed to have contributed to the outbreak of World War II by many historians, and there are numerous studies linking HIV to both social instability and fractures in international relations, albeit as part of a concerted securitization effort present around 2000, which I'm going to be analysing in my literature review. One of the reasons why I've chosen to do this as a literature review. This historical precedent persisting into the modern era shows that pandemics are strongly linked to these two risk factors. International tensions are frequently cited as a risk factor for overall existential risk, particularly as a path with a nuclear risk, great power conflict, and societal collapse as pathways, and societal instability is another one that's shown to contribute. Other pathways, through which I have yet to research fully, I would tentatively say GCBRs can contribute through, are a correlation between pandemics and instances of bioterrorism, and the effects of pandemics on the rates of technological process. I've not had time to properly explore these avenues yet, but along with writing the project up, I will be doing that in the future.